Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Creepy Mysteries. I'm super excited to start this journey as a new creator, and I really appreciate you being here. A huge thank you to everyone who has already supported me. It means the world. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to help this channel grow. Your support and feedback keep me motivated, so drop a comment below and let me know what you think or what you'd like to see next. I used to think night shifts were just easy money. Stay awake, walk the perimeter, check the cameras, and collect a paycheck. That was before I started working at the warehouse, before I heard the voice on the radio, before I saw the figure on the monitor, before I realized that some jobs should never be taken. The warehouse was massive, stretching for what felt like miles. Long aisles stacked with forgotten inventory, a security office with flickering monitors, and an atmosphere that made the air feel heavier than it should. My first night, my supervisor, Doug, gave me a quick rundown. "Check the doors, keep an eye on the cameras, and don't fall asleep," he said, tossing me a uniform. "Locker 18 is yours." I found the locker in the break room, but when I opened it, I felt my stomach tighten. It wasn't empty. A set of keys, a flashlight, a half-eaten sandwich, now rotting, and a wallet. I picked up the wallet and flipped it open. Inside was an old ID badge. The name was faded, but the picture showed a middle-aged man with tired eyes and a blank expression. Something about his face made my skin crawl, but I couldn't say why. I walked back to Doug, holding up the wallet. "Hey, someone's stuff is still in my locker. Did the last guy forget to clean it out?" Doug barely looked up from his coffee. "No one's used that locker in months." I frowned. "Then whose stuff is in there?" Doug's face darkened, and for the first time, he really looked at me. "Just toss it," he said flatly. "It doesn't matter." His reaction made me uneasy. Something was off. Instead of throwing it away, I stuffed the wallet into my pocket. That night, during my first patrol, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The warehouse was silent. Too silent. I walked my rounds, my footsteps echoing against the concrete floor. The aisles seemed longer than before, stretching endlessly into darkness. At 2 a.m., my radio crackled to life. "Hey, who's there?" I stopped cold. The voice was faint, buried under static. It was low, distant, like someone whispering through a bad connection. "Hello," I responded, my throat suddenly dry. Why did you take my shift?" A chill ran down my spine. I gripped my flashlight and scanned the dark aisles. Nothing. The radio went silent again. Maybe it was just interference, a crossed frequency. But as I turned to walk back, I heard it again. Soft footsteps, not mine. I spun around, my flashlight beam cutting through the dark. The aisle was empty, but I could still hear it. The sound of slow, deliberate footsteps, just beyond the reach of my light. I backed away, my heart pounding. The air felt thick, suffocating. Every instinct screamed at me to leave. The next night, I almost convinced myself I imagined it. Almost. At exactly 2 a.m., the radio crackled again. "You shouldn't be here." I didn't answer this time, but then I saw it. On the security monitor, at the far end of aisle 12, a figure stood motionless. I leaned in, staring at the screen. The grainy footage made it hard to see, but it was definitely a person. Tall, unmoving, facing the camera. I grabbed my flashlight and rushed to aisle 12. My heart pounded as I turned the corner. It was empty. The shelves stretched in both directions, dark and silent. No signs of movement. Then just as I was about to turn back, something breathed behind me. Not a gust of wind, not my own breath. Something else. Something low, ragged, right against my ear. I whipped around, swinging my flashlight wildly. Nothing. I backed away, my pulse thundering in my ears. Then my radio crackled again. "Don't look for me." That was when I decided I needed answers. The next evening before my shift, I confronted Doug. "Who was the last night guard?" Doug hesitated. "No one. We haven't had a night guard in months." I pulled out the ID from the locker. "Then who is this?" Doug's face went pale. He snatched the ID from my hand and stared at it, like it was something he thought was long gone. "Where did you find this?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "In my locker," I said. And I keep hearing him on the radio. Doug exhaled sharply and rubbed his face. "His name was Mark. He worked here before you, but he never left." My blood turned to ice. "What do you mean?" Doug looked at me, his expression grim. "One night, he just vanished. His car was still in the lot. His stuff was still in the break room. But he was gone. Security footage didn't show him leaving. The cops searched the whole warehouse, but they never found anything." My hands were shaking. "And you never told anyone?" Doug's eyes met mine. "Would you have taken the job if you knew?" That night I couldn't focus. Every noise made my skin crawl. Every flicker of the lights made my stomach twist. I kept looking at the cameras, expecting to see that figure again. At 2 a.m., my radio came alive one last time. "It's your turn now." The warehouse went dark. Every single light shut off in an instant. I fumbled for my flashlight, but when I turned it on, the beam barely cut through the suffocating blackness. The air felt thick, wrong. Then I heard them. Footsteps. Not slow this time. Not distant. They were running toward me. I turned and bolted toward the exit. My breath came in ragged gasps, my heartbeat hammering in my ears. I reached the door, yanking at the handle. Locked. I fumbled for my keys, hands shaking. The footsteps were right behind me now. Then, a hand grabbed my shoulder. Ice-cold fingers dug into my uniform. My entire body locked up. My flashlight flickered, and I saw him. Mark. His face was pale, his eyes hollow and empty. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. Then I heard it, a whisper crawling through the dark. "You took my shift." The lights flickered back on. The door flew open, and I stumbled outside, gasping for air. I quit the next morning, never went back, never even collected my last paycheck. But sometimes when I'm alone at night, my radio picks up static. And underneath the static, I swear I can hear a voice whispering, "It's your turn now." Working the night shift at a gas station is supposed to be boring. That's what I signed up for. An easy job, minimal interaction with customers, and plenty of time to kill. But after what happened one night last summer, I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable being alone at night again. The gas station I worked at was on the outskirts of town, right off a quiet highway. We rarely got customers after midnight, except for the occasional truck driver or some guy making a late-night snack run. The worst part was how isolated it felt. There was nothing but empty road and dark woods on one side, and an abandoned parking lot across the street. That parking lot used to belong to a strip mall, but all the businesses had shut down years ago, leaving behind a few broken streetlights and rows of faded parking spaces. It was a typical slow night around 1 a.m. when I noticed something strange. I had stepped outside for a smoke break, leaning against the side of the building, when I saw movement across the street. At first I thought it was just my eyes playing tricks on me, but then I saw him, a man standing in the middle of the abandoned parking lot. He wasn't near any of the streetlight, so I couldn't make out his features. Just a tall, thin figure standing completely still, facing my direction. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. He wasn't moving, wasn't walking toward the gas station, just standing there, staring. I flicked my cigarette away and quickly went back inside, locking the door behind me. I tried to tell myself he was just some drunk or maybe a homeless guy looking for a place to rest, but something about the way he stood there, so unnaturally still, made my stomach turn. I sat behind the counter, watching the security monitors. The camera facing the parking lot was too low resolution to make out any details, but the man was still there, still not moving. 15 minutes passed, then 30. He didn't budge. That's when I made the mistake of looking away. Just for a second, I checked my phone, scrolling mindlessly to distract myself. When I looked back at the monitor, he was gone. My heart started pounding. I scanned the other cameras, checking the gas pumps, the road, the side of the building. Nothing. It was like he had vanished. Then the motion sensor at pump number 4 went off. I looked up, expecting to see a car pulling in, but there was no car, just the man, standing right under the gas station canopy, facing the store. I sucked in a sharp breath. How had he moved that fast without me noticing? And worse, why was he standing so close now? I could see him better now under the fluorescent lights. He was wearing a hoodie with the hood up, but something was wrong with his face. It looked stretched, unnatural, like his skin didn't quite fit right. His posture was stiff, his arms hanging limply at his sides. I didn't know what to do. I thought about locking the doors, but they were already locked. I considered calling the cops, but what would I say? A guy is standing outside my store? They wouldn't take it seriously. Then, as if he could hear my thoughts, he moved. Not like a normal person. His body jerked forward, like he had just been pulled an inch closer to the door. Then again, a series of sudden, unnatural jerks, each time getting closer. My breath caught in my throat. He wasn't walking. It was like something was dragging him forward, inch by inch, in a series of sharp, unsettling twitches. I grabbed the phone and dialed 911, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. 911, what's your emergency? I kept my eyes locked on the figure outside. He was still jerking forward, but slower now, his head tilting in an unnatural angle. There's a man outside my store, I whispered. He's just standing there. He won't leave. The dispatcher asked me to describe him, but I could barely form words. Then in the reflection of the glass door, I saw something that made my blood turn to ice. There was a second figure, standing right behind me. I spun around so fast I knocked over the register, but there was nothing there, no one. My breath came in short, panicked gasps. I turned back to the door, and the man was gone. The motion sensor at pump number 4 turned off. The dispatcher was still on the line, asking if I was okay. I didn't know how to respond. Was I losing my mind? I checked the cameras again, rewinding the footage, and that's when I saw it. The man outside had never actually walked to the gas station. One frame, he was in the parking lot. The next frame, closer, then closer. Every few frames, he would jump forward with those jerking movements, like a puppet being dragged on invisible strings. But the worst part? The moment I had looked away from the monitor the first time, when he had disappeared, there was a single frame of footage of him standing inside the store, right behind me. I slammed the laptop shut and grabbed my keys. I wasn't waiting for the cops. When the cops finally arrived, I told them about the weird delivery, the monitor, the figure. They looked at me like I was crazy. The security footage showed nothing out of the ordinary. No truck, no delivery guy, no crate. The footage of me opening the box, it just showed me staring at an empty counter. The crate was gone, but I know what I saw. The next night I quit. Walked out and never went back. But sometimes late at night, when I pass by that gas station on the highway, I swear I can still see a flickering light inside, like a monitor, watching. Thank you for watching and taking the time to listen to this story. If you enjoyed it and want to hear more, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Your support means a lot and helps keep these stories coming. If you found this story interesting, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you'd like to support the channel even further, a like and share go a long way in helping spread these stories. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.